Alright, just finished watching Happy Console Gamer's video on is Zelda an RPG? And my answer to that is no. The Legend of Zelda is not an RPG. There's nothing indicating that The Legend of Zelda is an RPG. There's no hints in the game. The game is not telling you, hey, I'm an RPG. The game is not saying that it's an RPG because it's not an RPG. In the video of Happy Console Gamer, he said he went around with a camera to game deals and asking people, do they think Legend of Zelda is an RPG? Most people said yes. A lot of people said, and like very few said no. The people who said no, I could agree with. It's not an RPG. It's not. The people who say yes, they had their reasons, but their reasons could be basically saying that every other game is an RPG. The reason being because they say item collecting, they say decision making, they say what did you say? Item collecting, decision making, and had it in my head. Well, I'll get back to it if I remember it. But for one, item collecting. That's like in every single game that we played from the NES to now. Isn't that like in every single game? Uh, in Super Mario Brothers 3, don't we go around collecting items? Don't we collect frog suits, Tanuki suits, leaves, fire flowers, and things like that? So that makes an RPG? No, it doesn't. It just makes item collecting. And in every first-person shooter we have, don't we go around collecting weaponry, guns, ammunition, grenades, and stuff like that? Does it make an RPG? No, you're just collecting your weaponry. You're collecting items. And I remember the other thing. One person said, well, a lot of them actually said, you're taking the role of Link. You're taking the Link's role in this game. You're taking Link's role on his quest. But in every game, don't we do that? In Mario, don't we take the role of Mario to save the princess? Don't we take the role of Luigi in Luigi's Mansion to try to save Mario? In every first-person shooter game, which I considered basically, you could say it's an RPG because you're taking the role of that certain character and looking through their eyes, but they're not RPGs. They're first-person shooters. Because in Halo, don't you take the role of Master Chief, looking through his eyes, trying to fight this war that he's having? In Metroid Prime, the Metroid Prime series, don't you take the role of Samus, trying to, stop the Sky Pirates and Ridley and Metroid Prime? Aren't you looking through her eyes? Aren't you taking the role of Samus and going on her adventure? Collecting items on the way? Missile expansion, health expansions, ice beams, wave beams, things like that. That makes it an RPG? No, it doesn't. It makes it a first-person adventure game. That's what it makes it. Makes them a first-person shooter. That's what makes Halo and Killzone. So, and decision making. I know two games off my head right now. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis and Silent Hill Homecoming that are survival horror games with decision making in them. Does that make them RPGs? No, it doesn't. You're just deciding that how you wanna play the game from now on. You're saying, oh, I want to kill my mother but forgive my father in Silent Hill Homecoming, and I want to go from there. Or in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, oh, I want to shock Nemesis that way he won't be able to get up, and get me like right after I leave the door or something like that. So you're just playing the game the way you want to play it. In games like God of War, Devil's May Cry, um, Heavenly Sword, things like that. Does that make them RPGs because you take the role of Kratos? Could you take the role of Dante? No, it doesn't. You're just taking the role of each character and playing through their story and their type of genre of game. Devil's May Cry and the other one I said it was God of War. They're not RPGs. They're hack and slash. You're just taking the role of a certain character and playing through their genre, like The Legend of Zelda, an action adventure game. You're taking the role of Link, and you have action in there. You don't have tons of action, but you do have action in the game. Every time you go into a temple, you're mostly fighting, a mini boss or a bat. or any other creatures that are in that temple. And then at the end you fight the boss, in which there's an epic battle at the end of each dungeon, and then your battle again, and that considers action. Each fight is considered an action. But then the adventure part comes in by traveling from town to town, from temple to temple, dungeon to dungeon, just adventuring off on this action adventure. One guy had it right. He had it just basically down to the nail, and he said that it's not an RPG because there's no character development. And I agree with this, because in any good RPG there is character development. In every Final Fantasy game, you develop your character by leveling up, gaining levels. Well, of course, by leveling up, you know, equipping equipping armor, equipping swords, and equipping all types of things to these characters. The prime example is, and I hate to say this game, but Final Fantasy VII. And the topic that no one brings up about Final Fantasy VII is its materia system, which is the best system in a Final Fantasy game, because you could develop this character in your image. You could give him more HP by giving him a HP plus materia, more MP by giving him MP plus materia. You could give him fire by giving him a fire materia. You could give him the Bahuma summon by giving him the red materia, and things like that. And then Chrono Cross, you defeat bosses and you gain a star, which develops your character even further on. But what makes it more developy is by giving them elements, and the elements you find around the world. You get them from treasure chests. You get them in you get them in certain parts of the maps, the dungeons, and then townspeople at shops. And you could just equip these elements to these characters, making them individually different. You could give some person all red elements, which is fire in the game, or all white elements, which is light in the game. Or you could mix and match, and one could be like a cleric, could heal people all the time, or one could be like a black mage, which just use damaging elements, or one could be like a buffer, and the other one could be a debuffer. Things like that make it unique character development. And if you're like me, a big fan of tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, you know what I'm talking about with character development, which making it a good role playing game, because you're taking something in your head and putting it down on pen and paper. Basically, you're taking down a character that you wanted to play for so long in a video game, or just basically act out, and you're acting them out right now in this RPG, in this tabletop RPG, or this RPG with character creator in it, and developing the way you want him. Like you wanted a knight that can cast nothing but black magic, nothing but attacking magic. Like you give him equal amount of attack and magic, but you give him very low uh, defense but high magic defense, and you give him very very high wisdom intelligence for his magic stats. And that's what basically makes a good RPG: character development, which The Legend of Zelda does not have. You cannot go around and boost up Link's attack power by 12, or his sword power by 5, or his defense by 3. You just can't go around developing Link like that. Which that is basically the main element of an RPG. It's character development. And I can't go around saying, well, the story also makes a good RPG. But yes, it does make a good RPG. But I can't say that's what an RPG is all about. It's a story, because every other game has a story. Mario's story is you go around saving a princess. Sonic's story is you go around trying to stop Dr. Robotnik. Killzone and Halo story in Resistance is you're trying to save the world from an alien invasion. And in every RPG story, you're either trying to save a kingdom, save the world, stop the evil from conquering this or conquering that. Those are examples of stories in every type of genre game. But the main element for a good RPG is character development. And RPGs and games alike that have this element are, again, tabletop RPGs, MMO RPGs, and RPGs in general. Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars, great character development. Dungeons and Dragons, again, your own character development. Final Fantasy, developing your character by grinding, equipping armor and and weaponry. Um, I had one on top of my head. I just lost it. But those are good examples of character development of an RPG element in a video game, which makes it an RPG. Character development. So The Legend of Zelda is not and will never be an RPG unless there is character development. And yes, there is one game, because this guy said Zelda 2, but that's just one game. Can you consider that an RPG? Yeah. Can you consider the rest of the games an RPG? No. Remember, that is just one game, people. Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, and they never went back to that formula again. All of them been the bird's eye view, the overhead view, and it's been like that ever since ever since The Link to the Past. There are no RPG elements in Zelda whatsoever. There's no character development in The Legend of Zelda whatsoever. So, is Zelda an RPG? No, it's not. It's an action adventure game, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Your opinion may be different than mine. You may say yes, this is an RPG, and if you think yes, just leave a comment below and tell me why do you think it's an RPG. Because in my opinion, again, my opinion, it's not an RPG because there's no distinctive character development in the game. And that's all I have to say. If you like, dislike, comment, let me know what you think. Again, is Zelda an RPG? Yes or no? In my opinion, no, it's not. Thank you for watching, and I'll be posting again real soon.